everyone and welcome to a new video. This is the first time that I'm actually using gouache as a medium to paint. But before I start painting, I would like to tell you a little more about my process for turning a sketch into a final piece. I have been trying to learn more about digital drawing and I haven't really had a successful finished product with that, but I do use it as a way of turning my original sketches into the actual piece that I'm going to paint. This makes it easier for me because it allows me to just sketch away no matter what the size is. I just take a picture of it, load it onto my computer and go over it with a digital pencil. This piece I knew I wanted to be an A5 in size, so I would just open a document to that size and rescale the picture to what I needed to be. This sketch was already quite detailed, so I didn't need to add extra refinement, so I would just go over it, draw the outline, clean it up a little, and afterwards I am going to print this out and transfer to the actual paper that I'm going to be painting on. The software that I am using is completely free. It is called Krita. If you are interested in trying this out, you will find a link in the description. After I printed it out, I am transferring it to the final paper using carbon paper. I trace over the printed version and the carbon paper will transfer a black line to the final paper. This is also the first time that I am making a color composition because the bear, I wanted him to be brown and the heart to be red, and brown and red are not so different from each other, so I wanted to make sure that it worked. Unfortunately, I think I made a mistake when using the final color. I think I wrote down the wrong number because the final piece turned out a lot darker. I mean, the heart turned out darker than I had originally envisioned it. I am using the color composition that has the heart written under it, and I think I used a different kind of red because the red in the composition was more like pink, and eventually the end result was actually more towards the red side, so I think I just accidentally picked the wrong color. And then finally I can start painting and trying to get over my aversion of this medium. And it wasn't easy because it of course was reacting in the way that I was hoping it wouldn't, and it was creating streaks. I have seen several pieces that artists have made with gouache that have a really nice and smooth finish, and that was what I was going for. Now I was able to do this on smaller parts of the bear, like the legs, the hands, but for some reason the heart just wasn't working, and even after I went over it with a second layer, it still didn't look good. I currently still don't know what the cause of this is, so I will probably just have to get used to it, try it a little more, and figure it out as I go along. This is also the first time that I am not using gradients. I want the shadow to have a harsh line, and I've recently seen more and more people use this kind of coloring, and I really like it, and I hope that this is a way that I will also be coloring digital pieces in the future. So it is sort of like a step between coloring and actually going digital with the coloring. I figured if I know how to add shading to a traditional piece, I will probably find it more easy to add shading on a digital piece. For the cast shadow, I did use a gradient because I didn't want it to be as harsh as the piece itself. I didn't want the focus to be on that shadow, so I made it very, very light. And then I am adding in the background. This was my initial idea, and currently I'm still not sure whether or not I'm happy with it. I found that the color turned out a lot darker than in my color composition, so eventually you will see me try to lighten it. There are also a lot of streaks, and I figured that if I go over it with just a clean brush with water, that I can get rid of those streaks almost perfectly, because I had the same problem on the face of the bear and that turned out quite alright. So after I went in with a clear water layer and moved the colors around a bit more, I still found that it was too dark. So I am going over it with a lighter blue, but it doesn't really make any difference. This is one of the mistakes that I will keep in mind for next time, and I will spend a lot more time on the color composition and figuring out on whether or not this is actually what I like. I am also going to focus more on writing down the numbers while I am making the composition. By numbers I mean numbers of the color that I'm using, so I don't make the mistake of using the wrong color, as I still think I did in this one. I really don't think that the pink that I put down in the color composition is the pink that I ended up using for the heart. And for the last step, I added a white border with acrylic paint because the border that I had left initially wasn't thick enough to my liking. Well, that was it. I am quite happy with it, and thank you so much for watching. Until next time!